Brendan, how's the squad looking? What's the latest on Cameron Carter-Vickers?
Yeah, Cameron missed tomorrow. Good tackle. Yellow card. Yeah, he'll miss tomorrow. He's just got a pain on his big toe in the joint there. So we just have to look at that each sort of game. Really, he'd been playing with it for a little while, but we've got to try and manage it now because he was in pain in the Bratislava game. So hopefully it'll settle down quite quickly, and then we'll see where it's at for Tuesday.
How confident are you Tuesday's not going to be an issue? He rates chances fairly well.
Difficult to tell. Just concentration on this game really, and then we'll see after this here where he's at over Sunday, Monday.
Alistair Johnston back training though, is he fully fit, good to go? How big a boost is that?
Yeah, it's great. The Falkirk game gave us a chance to recover one or two of the players that had little niggles, like I said before the game, and give the opportunity for other players to come in. So, but yeah, he's trained all week and been good.
For you and the players that have done this many times, that sort of focusing on the next challenge rather than looking ahead to Champions League, you're used to that. Is part of the messaging for new players to sort of get that instilled in them as well? Is that a challenge at all?
It's not a challenge, no. I always think these are games of perspective, and it's how you look at them. For me and the other players and that, it's pretty straightforward. It's the next game, so we want to win the next game, and that is always the challenge of being a Celtic player and being a manager. We understand the Champions League, and it's fantastic, but ultimately this is the bread and butter that gets you there. So this is an important game for us, really important, and it's our only real focus at this moment.
Is that quite good, being able to get Austin Trusty and Stephen Welsh some game time last weekend, obviously with Cameron out this weekend, a good opportunity for one of those?
Yeah, we felt that was the case, and it was never going to be as fluid as what the team had been right up until that point, but I was well aware of that. I knew the risk in that, and I wanted to take the risk in that, so I couldn't criticise the players for that. Their attitude was great, and those players that came in to the team got some minutes in their legs, and that will prove valuable for us, I'm sure, over the course of the season.
Is it sometimes harder to know what you're going to come up against in a team that doesn't have a permanent manager in charge?
No, I think professional players will always look to do the very best. Clearly, it's a shame Craig's now left there, and a very experienced manager. The guys, Andy and the guys that are there now, are obviously holding fort, and they'll have the team prepared and ready for the game. So clearly, if there's a manager in place, then you know their philosophy, their football ideas, and of course that allows you to understand it better. But I still think, looking at how they play and how they've been, we've got an idea how they work. And but for us, it's really about ourselves and bringing our rhythm to the game, and making it really, really difficult for St Johnstone.
Pleased were you to see Elena's side get through to the Champions League group stages, and how good is that for the club as a whole to have yourselves and the women's side both playing in Europe? Yeah,
absolutely delighted. I think you see the progress that Elena has made with her staff and with the players. It's been absolutely fantastic, and then to earn the right to get into the Champions League. I've seen the draw, so great games for them, and a really exciting season ahead for them.
Brendan, with Cameron, is it a case of just trying to see if this issue settles down over time, or is it a more significant issue that might require more significant treatment?
No, it's not that. It's just the tolerance of pain. I think he'd gone through a lot and pushed him through a lot, but if it's not getting any better and there's signs of it, I don't think it was getting worse, but he was having to go through too much pain with it, really, and he's a tough character, Cam. So, but we just felt that it's obviously one of those ones that with rest, that it will self-correct, and he will be okay. But it's just it's all about timing, isn't it? Every game's important, and but there comes a point whenever I could just see within him he just wasn't quite at the level that he would want to be at, and I would want him to be at. And when it's at that point, then you want to take him out and let him recover.
With the Dortmund game on the horizon, would you be wary of playing your full strength team, or is this when want to play your full strength team ahead of such a big game like that?
Well, like I said, it's a game of perspective, and for me, my look on it is that we need to win the game. So we'll put out the very best team that we possibly can to win the game. But I say in the best possible way as a team, and I see all the players as my team. You know, we'll pick a starting 11 to go into the game. It certainly won't be the 11 that will finish it. But it's important for us to win the game and win it well, and win it in the way we want to, and then we can get ready, recover, and get ready for Tuesday.
For a few days there, it looks like you might be facing your old Charles Scott Brown tomorrow. What did you make of his name in the frame for the St John's job and then taking his name out of the frame? Did you speak to him at any point about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, Scott's doing a fantastic job at Ayr, and him and Stephen and his staff are doing really well there. They've obviously lifted Ayr into a really good place, having joined them last season, and I think for Scott there's no rush. You know, I've got no doubt he'll be a really successful manager. He went into Ayr and obviously kept them up last year, and then had a really good pre-season. And I could see that in pre-season they were a few weeks ahead of us, but I could see the ideas of what they were trying to implement and how they've played, and they've started the season very, very well. So for Scott, it's not about a club for these next steps, it's about the right club. And I always think that, especially when you're a young manager, getting to the right club is important, but not if you're already at a good club. And he's at a good club, and he's happy. And yeah, I wasn't surprised that he didn't take it, but I'm not surprised that his name was linked with it.
I guess when you're a young manager, it's about balancing ambition and feels if you might want to make a move with making sure it is a right move.
Yeah, I think, listen, and I was probably in my younger days guilty of it. You're in a rush, you know, and when I was a young manager, I was in a rush to get to the Premier League because it's the most competitive league in the world and it's a challenge. But obviously, when you can sit back and have more information and more knowledge and experience, then you can probably look at it a lot clearer. But yeah, I think ambition is important. I think you have to have that. But the ambition can be for the club you're in and the people that you work with, and as well as yourself. So, but I just see him in a really good place. I don't think there's any doubt he'll manage at the highest level, Scott. But it's all about timing, and at the right time, I'm very, very confident that he will get there. But being a manager is and a coach at the highest level totally different to being a captain. You know, captain will, you know, those leadership qualities will really help you, of course. But there's no shortcuts. And being a top coach or a top manager, you have to take your time, and you have to learn, and you have to find those experiences. And I see him doing that very, very well at the moment.
Did you see Scott as a potential manager when you first arrived at Celtic, or not until you left the first time round?
Well, when I first arrived, I didn't know him. I only seen this snarling guy on the telly that I used to see and watch. And then when I first met him, I found out it was totally different. So, and then we obviously clearly had a really, really strong relationship in our time here, which you need. You need your captain and your manager to be tight, and because a club like this here, there's many challenges. So being together is very important. So I had no doubt his leadership qualities were immense. Yeah, I just felt that if he wanted to do that, it's something that he could absolutely do. So he had that first little taste of it at Fleetwood. You know, being really brave coming out of Scotland and going down into the lower leagues in England. But he took on that challenge to understand and find that apprenticeship as a manager, because that is important as well. You know, you have to learn the trade, and then he's obviously come back up to here, gone into Ayr and done a very, very good job so far. So he feels and sounds like he's in a happy place. He'll get linked with jobs, I'm pretty sure, numbers of jobs in the future, but he's no rush. Just take your time and work well.
You started taking notes and that stuff during your first time in charge. You started studying the game a bit more, and he was a bit more studious. But do you see anyone in your current squad now that you think are going to be future managers?
Yeah, I look at the likes of Callum. I think that Callum can be a manager if he wants to be later on. But and that's the big what if. I think you playing and coaching and management are three totally different things. You're when you're coaching, you're giving opinions and you're working with the players. When you're managing, you're making decisions, and it's a totally different setup. So, but I look at the guys that I have. I've got some fantastic players here that in their own right they may want to go down that route, but it's not always the ones that clearly stand out that become the manager. I'm sure there's plenty of players will tell you that they wouldn't have thought someone was going to be a manager, and they've gone on and done ever so well. So, but yeah, I would look at Callum as a start point and think that when the time comes for him, if he wants to go down that route, then he would. He certainly shows a lot of the facets that you would need to manage and coach.
Was Scott quite receptive to the advice you gave him?
I don't know. I was as an open conversation, and all I ever do is recommend. I would never, never tell anyone what to do when they ask advice. It's just, it's exactly that. It's just recommendations. It's understanding where he's at, and it was about other things as well. But yeah, I think. But he knows his own mind. He knows that he's got a few people that he can reach out to just to get maybe a different perspective.
At some point, do you expect to face him in the Premier League? Premiership, sorry. Probably.
He's on that trajectory. And if I'm still here and want it and whatever else, then we may well do. But no, I've had it before. And I'll, I come up against Nuri Sahin on Tuesday, and I had Nuri at Liverpool as a young player on loan from Real Madrid. So it happens, and it all happens so quickly. That's the game. So, but what I know with Scott, he's doing really, really well. Him and his staff, he's at a really good club. Having been there in the summer when we played them and meeting the owner and seeing what it is they're trying to do, I think he knows he's in a really good place. So I think for him to manage at the top level here in Scotland, it's only a matter of time. Whether that's with Ayr or someone else, it's a matter of time.
It's a very tight turnaround Saturday night to Tuesday night travelling as well. Is that a frustration and a concern? Is there anything could have been done to maybe alleviate that in terms of?
Yeah, I think for all British teams it is a frustration. I'll watch Borussia Dortmund. We'll play tonight. They'll play Bochum on Friday, so they're able to move the game that day earlier. So it gives them 3 full days to prepare for our game, and the game at home for us will not be probably home till after midnight from the game tomorrow, and then it's a very, very quick turnaround travel, and then you're out playing the game. But I think it's for most British teams, the TV and the slots and everything just seems to take priority over the game and preparation. So, but we're not the only team that's happened to have seen it for a number of years. The European guys, they will have their slots, and they'll find agreements to help their teams prepare the best they can.
We saw the same broadcaster for the show Motherwell United last Friday night. It was very successful. Turnout of fans as well. Is that something you could maybe look at? Should look at for the league?
Yeah, I think that if there's a Friday night slot, then that would and could work well, like you say. A Friday night game can be a really good game to open up the weekend, but of course it's with telly and everything else.
Is there any flexibility at all up here in terms of moving fixtures, or do you find that you had a brick wall anytime even requesting that kind of thing, or there's no point even requesting it?
I don't know. I think it has to be beyond the clubs. I think it has to be something in place with the federations, and then of course linking in with the TV. I think in fairness in Germany, I think there's more Friday night slots for their TV games, which means that they can then probably request that, which then gives them the extra recovery. So, but yeah, maybe in the future. But it's been ongoing for years, I've got to say, having been in the Premier League and seen it there and seen it across many years. That at times takes the priority over the the well-being and the preparation for footballers.
In terms of St Johnstone, so last season you have a goal to players at half time. I think that'll be one of the games up there. But I'm thinking about in the previous spell, maybe a goal you scored up there. That one, I think the kind of 40 passes and finished, I think, a 5-2 game. Would that be one of your favourite kind of team goals that you scored in your time up here?
Yeah, well, I think firstly at the point when we arrived there last year, when I was there, we definitely weren't on the same page. But that's my job as the manager, to ensure that we were, and that our standard was better than that. And I look at the second half response, and then I look to where we're at now, a year later. We're in a much different place. The team's gone in the direction that I wanted to go in. Playing with the intent and the technicality and the physicality and the coordination and the hunger in the team. So it's night and day from that first half performance last season. But no, we've done well up there, and my time going to St Johnstone, I've always enjoyed going there, but purely, the supporters there, and scored some fantastic goals like the one you mentioned. I think Jamesy Forrest scored 4 goals maybe in one half of a game, which was an incredible achievement for a player. So, but in all of that, you have to work really hard. It doesn't just come to you. I think that for us, the mantra right over the course of this pre-season and into this season is make our organisation and our attitude and our talent, make it really, really difficult then for the other team. And if we can show all of those things and bring that into the game, then it can be a difficult game for an opponent, and that's what our aim is again. So, but some great goals. The goals you mentioned, Michael, was a fantastic goal, and we had some really good goals that day.
Brendan, Craig Levein and Stephen both lost their jobs kind of within a few days. Does that tell you where we're at with the game just now, that don't have much grace period?
No, I think it's a shame, obviously, for Craig. He's a really experienced manager, and obviously dips in and out of the media and has done other roles. So for him, it's probably not it won't be a surprise, because sometimes it's, no matter how well you can be doing, it's, if an owner wakes up one morning and you're not to be the manager, then you're out. It's as simple as that. But all you can do is do your best. With Stephen, obviously, in his first job, there's always empathy there for a coach and a manager, but it's one of those ones where he'll go away and learn from that experience. He's a fantastic player. Stephen had a really good career in the game, moved into coaching and then into the lead role. He'll go away and look at it and find the areas of which he can be better in and develop and improve, and then for sure he'll come back in his next job and be a better manager. So, but sometimes it takes that. It's not nice when it comes. It's not, but the strength is then going again and learning from it, and that's then the guys that succeed in the game. When you can pick yourself up, identify where you could have been better, alongside all the good things that worked really well. Because I looked at Hearts last year and I thought they were very, very good, very well coached, good idea of the game, and finished third in the league and did really well. Sometimes the momentum at the beginning of a season just didn't quite go with them, and then all of a sudden you're on the back end of 8 losses. So I never felt they were as bad as that, but sometimes people feel the need to change, and they did do.